The Tirpitz was the sister ship of the Bismarck. But unlike her famous sibling, she never sank an enemy warship, never fired her main guns at a hostile battleship, never won a single naval engagement. And yet, Winston Churchill called her the most dangerous ship in the world. Why? Because the Tirpitz did not have to fight to win. She just had to exist. Her presence in Norwegian waters forced the British Royal Navy to tie down overwhelming resources, battleships, aircraft carriers, escort destroyers, just to guard against the possibility of a sortie. One ship held an entire fleet hostage through sheer intimidation. The Tirpitz was commissioned in February 1941. She displaced 53,000 tons fully loaded. Her 8 15-inch guns could punch through 26 inches of armor at close range. But her most formidable weapon was her speed, 30 knots, and her range. She could dash from Norway into the North Atlantic, tear apart a convoy, and disappear before the British could respond. That potential kept Allied admirals awake at night. The Arctic convoys to the Soviet Union were the lifeline of the Eastern Front. Tanks, planes, fuel, ammunition, all shipped through some of the worst weather on Earth. A single Tirpitz sortie could wipe out an entire convoy. The British response was to keep a heavy escort with every convoy, at least one battleship, an aircraft carrier, and a screen of destroyers. That meant the Royal Navy was constantly chasing a ghost. The Germans knew exactly what they were doing. They based Tirpitz in fjords along the Norwegian coast, deep, narrow waterways where British submarines could not easily reach her. The ship was protected by anti-torpedo nets, flak batteries on the surrounding hills, and smoke generators that could blanket the entire fjord in minutes. She was, in effect, a floating fortress, and she never had to leave. The British tried everything to sink her. In March 1942, a raid by the Fleet Air Arm launched 30 aircraft from the carrier Victorious. The attack failed. Heavy flak and bad weather turned them back. In September 1943, British X-class midget submarines snuck into Kofjord and placed explosive charges under the Tirpitz. The explosion blew a hole in her hull. She was out of action for 6 months, but she did not sink. That raid was one of the most daring of the war. The crews of the X-craft knew they were on a one-way mission. 4 of the 6 submarines were lost. Their commanders received Victoria Crosses, posthumously. The Tirpitz, however, was repaired. The Germans moved her to a new fjord, reinforced her defenses, and waited. By 1944, the Tirpitz was no longer a threat to convoys. But she was still a threat. As long as she floated, the British could not reduce their Arctic escort forces. Winston Churchill personally ordered her destruction. The job went to the Royal Air Force's Bomber Command. The weapon was the Tall Boy, a 12,000-pound earthquake bomb designed by Barnes Wallis. Dropped from 20,000 feet, it could penetrate concrete and armor before exploding deep underground. The theory was simple. Even if the bomb missed the ship, a near miss would crack her hull like an egg. On November 12, 1944, 32 Lancaster bombers took off from Scotland. They flew 2,000 miles to Tromsø, where the Tirpitz was now anchored. Too damaged to steam, but still armed. The bombers faced heavy flak and fighter interception. They flew straight through it. One tall boy struck the Tirpitz amidships. 2 more hit close alongside. The explosions tore open her hull. Within 10 minutes, the Tirpitz listed 60 degrees. Then she turned turtle, upside down, her bottom rising out of the fjord. Nearly 1,000 German sailors died. The rest were pulled from the freezing water by rescue boats. The most dangerous ship in the world was gone. After the war, Norwegian salvage companies cut up the Tirpitz for scrap. Her steel became bridge girders, roofing, and souvenir ashtrays. But her legacy outlasted her metal. The Tirpitz pioneered a strategy that modern militaries call anti-access area denial. A single, powerful weapon system, stationed in a defensible location, can tie down an entire enemy fleet without firing a shot. Today, that strategy is used by Iran in the Persian Gulf, by China in the South China Sea, and by Russia in the Baltic. The platforms have changed, missiles instead of battleships, but the logic is identical. The Tirpitz taught naval strategists that sometimes the best weapon is the one you never use. The threat alone shapes enemy behavior. The fear of what a ship might do can be more powerful than anything it actually does. That is why Churchill feared her. That is why the British spent 3 years and thousands of lives trying to sink her. And that is why her story still matters. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper.